So in this tutorial, I'm just going to show you how to make a very quick wireframe of a website that you'd like to create online. I use Flash to do this because I'm really familiar with it, so that's the tool that I'm going to use. But essentially, using the logo that we previously made, we're going to make a few buttons that actually work to go to different pages. Like this home button, I just linked it to Google. So we're going to learn how to make simple buttons to direct you to different pages. If you do have different pages on your website right now, it's very rudimentary. But yeah, so this is what we're going to do. Now I'm going to go back to the initial file that I had with our logo. The first thing we want to do is we want to create what we call what was it called again? It's called a symbol. We've created our logo here, but we don't want to lose it. We want to reuse it over and over and over again. So we want to create a symbol. What we're going to do to do that is we're going to select these keyframes, right click. We're going to copy these frames, okay? And we're going to go to Insert, New Symbol, and what we want in this case is a graphic. And we're going to call this our logo. Now a symbol is like a group, but what it does is it gets saved in your library as a kind of small version of your entire file. So it has its own layers, so you can have your own layers inside of the symbol. So what we're going to do is we're just going to right click here, paste the frames that we've already made. Okay. And we're going to go back to our scene. Now you can see here in the library tab that now we have a logo that we can just drag onto the canvas here and use however times that we want them to be used. Now because we have our logo in our library, we no longer need these layers, so we can delete these. I'm going to call this logo, and I'm going to delete everything. And now our layer is on the, our logo is on the canvas here. The neat thing with a symbol is that you can double click it and go inside, and then you can edit all your layers. So you can have layers inside of a symbol that will not actually be layers in your entire document, which is a really, really useful feature to have. What we're going to do now is we're going to modify the size of our document to be 1,000 by 1,000. Most websites are around this size, maybe from 700 pixels to 1,000 pixels. We're just going to use 1,000 by 1,000 for simplicity's sake. At this point, you don't need to know what your website is going to be, how big it's going to be in terms of width and height. We just want to know what it's going to look like. Now what we're going to do here is I'm just going to select a background color. So we're going to go down to this Properties tab, Properties for our background. And by clicking the background, if I was to click the logo, I would have different properties than if I clicked my background. So the background, let's say that I wanted it to be yellow, for example. I could do that. In this particular case, yeah, I'll stick with yellow. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a new layer on top, and it's going to be my white area where all my text is going to go on my website. So like before, I kept the borders as no borders, but I can easily set it. For example, if I wanted a border, I'll set it here to a border that is a width of 5. I could do that too, and set it like this if I wanted it to look that way. And maybe I will keep it for this this simple website. Here, if I wanted to change what my line border looked like, if I want to just you know, little dots instead, I could select little dots on my border. that. So that looks pretty good. Now what we want to do here, the final thing of our website, is we want to create little buttons that are going to send, send you to other pages on our website. To do this, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a text. I'm going to type, for example, home. That's going to be my home button. Now a home button, now text is special because it's not like Paint where you can edit it easily. If you do want to edit it as though it was Paint, what you want to do is you want to ungroup it. And so to ungroup it, you click on it, modify, ungroup. In this particular scenario, you could just say break apart is another way to ungroup. So we're going to break apart and break apart. So then it would be exactly like Paint if I wanted to do it that way. But I'm going to do it the regular way and just keep it as text. So home. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to make this a special kind of symbol called a button. So we're going to right click this, convert the symbol, the paint or the text, to a button symbol, and we're going to call this home. Okay, and so we will get our home button. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to edit this button in some kind of way. Now I'm going to say, we're going to double click it, and here you see once you have a symbol that is a button, it's kind of special. You have 4 different states for this button. Now whenever the button is on your website and nothing is focusing on it, this is what your home button is going to look like. When you hover over it, you could potentially put a new keyframe here, and let's say I want it to become blue when you hover on top of it. And when it's down, when somebody actually clicks on it, I'll put a different keyframe. And let's say that it shrinks a little bit in size, like this. So when it's up, when I've hovered over it, when I've clicked on it, this is what it looks like. Now this hit button here, this hit keyframe that I'm going to put here, is a little different because this defines the area where you're allowed to click the button. So it's a good thing to copy this first frame, paste the frame, because you want to know how big your button is in the first place. And for simplicity's sake, you can just put a small rectangle of a shape. It doesn't really matter if it's a drawn area or if it's a shaped area. I'm just going to do a simple rectangle here. But you won't actually see what this looks like. This is just to define the area where I can click it. Now we're almost done here. I'm going to go back to our scene by clicking the scene button up top. And if I test this movie or this file, I'll test it out here. And this button, as you see, when we hover over it and we click it, it acts like a button. Now, the last thing we want to do is we want to link this button to another page on the internet. So what we're going to do is we're going to click our button, go down here, and we're going to go to the Action tab. What we want to make sure to program this button really easily is we want to have this script assist and make sure that you're writing it in ActionScript 2.0. We're going to click the little plus, global functions, browser network, and the get URL. So it's a simple little line of code. Here you're going to put the website, http / let's say www. I'm going to say uottawa.ca because that's our university. We can select whether or not we want the window to be the page to be accessed in the same page, in a blank page, or any of these other parameters. So really the ones you should know is just self is the same page, or blank, it'll pop up as a new page. In this scenario, I'll do as a blank new page, and that should be it. So now I can save my document, save as, I'm going to call it site wireframe. Okay. And to publish this as a web page, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to File and Publish. And providing that the publishing settings allow you to output as an HTML file, then you should get inside of your, let me just find the, I'm going to go to my Flash tutorials here. This website, Site Wireframe, should be made available here. And we have a web page. Now, providing that this button works, it should usually work if it's put on your server. So what I'm going to do here, I have my server set up, so I can just copy my files. I'll show you how to configure Aptana to store your files online a little later. But if I do this real quick, I'm going to copy my two files here, wireframe.html and site.html. I'm going to put that on my web server here, enchtech.uottawa.ca. And if I go to my website, enchtech.uottawa.ca/g50 is my username, and my website is called site_wireframe.html, then I should have my website here with my simple button, and if I click it, it should go to uottawa.ca. So this is a good way to just have an idea of what your website is going to look like before actually developing it with actual HTML code and CSS. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.